How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Fear Street Cheerleaders Book 2, The Second Evil. This is written by R.L. Stine and originally came out in September of 1992. Originally came out in 92. Luckily for us nowadays, we got this nice new bind-up by Simon Pulse, and this True Evil bind-up has every book in the original trilogy. There still are more Cheerleaders books, so hopefully we get a second bind-up, but for now, really great to have the original trilogy all in one place. That's pretty cool. And I'll be holding up the little copy of the book for this review. I actually did read through the little one just for fun, I guess. But I do want to say, this is the only one of the Cheerleaders books that I've managed to collect so far. So major props to the bind-up because, yeah, needing to find all three of these books and they're getting kind of rare nowadays, that was going to be kind of hard. So glad we got the new release. Anyway, this book is pretty fun. The evil's back and they have to figure out where, or maybe a better question than where is, who has the evil now? It's a bit of paranoia. Is the evil really back? Is it in one of our friends? And we can really just jump into things pretty quick with this book. The first book did a lot of the setup. Now going into the second, we know who our characters are. We can slip back into them like a pair of comfortable shoes, and the characters know that there is evil out there, and in turn they're much quicker to accept that they're in a horror story, and we get some fun moments. I do kind of wonder, with the way First Evil ended, if Stine knew he was going to be writing a trilogy, because the First Evil kind of stands on its own. The Second Evil begins very much more like a sequel than a 2 of 3, you know? It feels like a sequel more than a middle book is what I'm saying, because they have to say, oh, it's back, we didn't really kill it last time, the action is starting again. And then when we get to the end of this book, it's much more cliffhanger, it's much more where we know there's going to be a third book. So I'm thinking, I don't know for sure, I'm thinking Stine wrote the first Cheerleaders book, liked it so much, and then expanded it into a trilogy, because this feels, again, like I said, much more sequel-y. But that being said, love the book, love the paranoia, love coming back to our characters and seeing how the first book changed them, which does make me wonder about all the other books that didn't get sequels. I bet there's a lot of traumatized kids in Shady Side High, but that's beside the point. Overall, a really good edition, and lots of stuff I liked. I'm going to go ahead and talk a bit more in specifics now. I'll talk a little bit about the plot and a few of the events and take a moment to analyze some of it. Now that being said, I won't cover spoilers for Second Evil. I'll be avoiding the end. But that being said, I want to warn you, I will have to talk openly about the First Evil. It's hard to talk about the events of a sequel without talking about the first book. So if you have not read First Evil, pause the video here and go read that book, because literally one of the very next things I'm going to say will spoil it for you. So if you haven't read it, get out of here now, okay? Okay, so at the end of First Evil, spoilers, Bobby, Corky's sister, died. And now, the sister, who is much less prepared and didn't believe as much in the evil spirit, has to take it down. In a really good epic finale, Corky thinks that she trapped the evil spirit inside Sarah Fear's grave. But maybe everything is not as laid to rest as you might think. And I really do like the position we open up with Corky in this book. She is dealing with a ton of trauma, and she's visiting her sister's grave all the time. Even she, while she's grieving, says, probably too much and I should really stop this. So she's in a really bad spot. And in addition to visiting the grave, she's also quit cheerleading. And the rest of the cheerleaders really want her to come back. I really do like the dynamic, especially with Kimmy here. Kimmy had a huge rivalry with Bobby, but now that she's gone, and now that they know evil spirits are real, Kimmy is saying to Corky, none of this matters. The first book, we were all fighting with each other. You are the new kids. We didn't know where we stood or how much power you were trying to take from us. But forget cheerleading drama. There are evil spirits. Us cheerleaders have got to stick together. And I really do like the bond that the team has now. And even though that bond is strong, Corky's the outsider. She paid the most, and she can't really stay with them. And I do really like that. You know, she's left the team, and they're trying to get her back. Another one of the cheerleaders, one that really rose up in this book, would have to be Deborah. A lot of the other ones, you know, we lost a few cheerleaders along the way. We need some of the kind of background ones to rise up and become interesting characters, and I do like that Deborah starts to really stand out in this book. She knows the evil's still out there, and she is getting ready. She's looking up everything she can about magic. She has her own magic books. She is going to go and defeat that evil spirit. She even starts wearing a cloak around. Boy, if only cloaks didn't make you seem like a weirdo, it'd be super fun to wear a cloak. But I do like Deborah becoming the magic one. That's a really interesting change. Corky's also dating Chip, and at first it seems kind of odd, you know, your girlfriend dies and now you're dating her sister, but they do talk about how their shared grief kind of brought them together, so I did think that was interesting as well. But of course, the evil is in fact back, and since we know from last time the evil likes to possess a host, it's back. Which one of our friends can we not trust? Is it someone on the squad? Is it someone we know? Is it this weird historian character? More on her in a bit. Maybe it's someone else off to the side. We don't know. It's a pretty wide range of suspects and a fair bit of paranoia. The first clue that the evil's back is it possesses Corky's hands and makes her burn herself with the scalding water of the tea kettle. We do also get some hallucination scenes, like when she's trying to get back on the squad and the evil spirit starts screaming into her ear, and there is a pretty fun, disturbing scene at Bobby's graveside. So yeah, it's looking like the evil's back. And then we get to, and I don't want to spoil it too much, the science lab scene. There is an absolute grade A gold star scene in this book where Corky's left alone in a biology lab, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, but things go absolutely nuts. I've heard people say the cheerleaders books are a little bit like the Evil Dead series, and after reading the first one, I kind of got that. But then you get to the biology lab scene, and it is an Evil Dead scene through and through, and I absolutely loved it. One of the book's best sequences, and really worth reading this thing just for the biology scene. It is really great. And also, in addition to all that, we do get a Fear Street stalker popping up. These guys run throughout the whole series, and here we get the man with the pale gray eyes that only Corky can see, and he's kind of watching her. Who is he? Well, it's a pretty interesting reveal, and one that I could totally see happening, but no spoilers here. And of course, people are gonna die. And that's one thing I like. People don't always die in Fear Street books, and sometimes it's usually just like one to set up the plot. But we, with this book, and with the last book, are starting to pile up a few bodies here. So I do like that sense of real danger. There is, roughly in the middle of the book, a really good kill, and you're like, oh, I did not expect that person to go so soon or so quick. That is pretty dangerous. And in addition to people dying, lore. I really do like the lore in this book. As I hinted at earlier, there's a historian character, and they meet her in the graveyard, Sarah Beth Plummer, and she says that she knows the legends of Sarah Fear. And she goes, oh, a lot of it's lost through history, but I can tell you a little bit about her life and her strange death. Well, we want to know more. I really do like this bit of lore, and after this, it's really getting me amped up to read the Fear Street Saga Trilogy, as well as the Sagas with an S series that came after. This book does a good job about getting you curious, and we do get a brief scene, again, not super long, I wish it was longer, but a brief scene where Deborah wants to do a ritual inside the burned out Fear Mansion. Okay, that's cool. Again, short scene, wish it was longer, but I mean, they keep talking about this burned down mansion up on the hill, and I've been wanting to go inside it for so long. Good to see it in this book. So overall, a lot of really good stuff. Like I said, knowing the characters and relating to them a lot more, slipping into their shoes a lot easier, and dealing with the trauma from the first book, plus the evil being less hidden now. You know, it is really cool, and I really do love this continuation. I like the bit of paranoia, trying to figure out who the evil's hiding in. And it did lead to a fun climax. I will say, though, not as big of a climax as Sarah Fear's grave, but a fun ending sequence. And when it was over, I'm like, oh man, I am so glad I have this trilogy pack, because I really want to get into the next one. Sorry this book took me a while to read. Work really piled up over the last 2 weeks, but I really am glad that I finally got to finish it. It was super fun, and I'm hoping part 3 won't take me quite as long to get to. I really do want to read all the Fear Street I can get my hands on. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Fear Street playlist, where you can see my review for part 1 of this series, The First Evil. I've also talked about a lot of the other new prints of the Fear Street books, including going all the way through the beginning bind-up as well. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Fear Street playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.